Alright, well one. So last time we made the Modernize Gleaner app. Today we're going to be adding in signing with Apple to the Gleaner app. So let's get to it. So the first thing we have to do is go down here to Xcode and then open our Gleaner Redesign project. And then we can just maximize this. Yeah, what I'm actually going to do is just run this first so that you get a reminder of what this looks like. So I'll hit run. I can minimize that for a second and go to a simulator here. Alright, so again, this is our app. This is our news tab where you can see the latest news, click into it, read more about the news, etc. And then we have news, entertainment, sports, all of that settings. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a sign in with Apple feature. We'll make it that users can sign in, and then once you're signed in, you can like click on an article and pretty much add a comment. But for this video, we'll just do the sign in with Apple part, and then in the follow-up one, we'll actually make it that you can add comments. So good. So let's go back to Xcode, right? And we'll just stop this for a second. And what we're gonna do is for the sign in with Apple, we have to get certain capabilities in our project, right? So the first thing we'll have to do is, all you have to do first, click on your project name here. So make sure you go over to the files directory here, then click on your project name, then go over to here where you see targets, and make sure you click this one on the top, then click on signing and capabilities, and then click on capability here. So put plus there. And you're just going to type in Apple, and you're going to see this sign in with Apple capability here. Just double click that, and just like that, you basically did the first step for adding in signing with Apple to your project, right? So if you start the app, nothing won't really be happening yet. What you need to do is you need to connect it to Firebase. So what we're going to do now is go over to your browser, and then we're going to literally just type in firebase.google.com, and I'll add this link in the description. I'll also put it on the screen too. And all you have to do is make sure you have an account already. I already have an account. It's more than likely just going to be like a Google account. You're signing with Google account, whatever. Click go to console. Make this bigger. And over here, all you're going to do is click create a new Firebase project. So just hit that. And then pretty much just type in the name of your project. So I'll just type in right here. I'll just say Modernize Gleaner project. And then I hit continue. And basically you can enable Gemini in Firebase. I'll just say enable it. It's pretty good. And you can just enable some analytics features. So just hit continue. And then you just have to pick the location. Just go with default account for Firebase, and then hit create project. And then your project will start being, created. All right, now that our project's created, just hit continue. And now it's gonna push you inside Firebase right here. And we're gonna click on plus, add app right here. So let's hit add app, and since we're making an iPhone or iOS app, hit iOS here. And now it's gonna ask you for like some information about your app. If you watch a previous video, we kind of did this before, so you might be familiar, but we'll do it again just for the refresher. So I'm gonna minimize this a little, and then it said for your Apple bundle ID. So all you have to do is go over to Xcode. I'll make this bigger. Go over to Xcode to the same area, click here, then go to pretty much where your target is, which is this right here. Make sure you're inside the general tab too. And then go over to here where it says bundle identifier. Sometimes you can just copy it. Sometimes you have to click the plus button. I don't know why they changed that. And then copy your bundle identifier here and just said Command C. And then go back over to Firebase and you just paste your bundle ID there. You can give a nickname, you can give an App Store ID, but these are optional, so I wouldn't stress it. Hit register app, and now you have to download a Google service .info plist file. It's just a file you gotta download and add to your project. So just hit download. You see it download. You just find out where that is, and you pretty much just go over to Xcode, right? I will minimize it so that we can drag this in. Whoop. So this is our project, right? Project structure. You can go to your downloads wherever you put it, and you just grab it and drag it over. Make sure it's inside the Gleaner Redesign folder, and make sure that the top one is checked. You might not have this bottom one, which is fine, but just this top one is checked, and then hit finish. Alright, so now we're done with that part. So now let's minimize that, and we'll jump back over to Firebase, right? And we'll just maximize. And now that we're done with that, you just hit next. Now the next step is, it's basically saying use Swift Package Manager to install the package. So Swift Package Manager is a way how you can add new tools, basically, or packages to your Xcode project. So in our case, we can add new features or tools to our Modernize Gleaner project. And it said to use it, we have to use this URL to get the right package or tool. So we'll just copy this link right here, and then we'll just go back over to Xcode again. And we can maximize this, and then go up here, then click Add Package Dependencies. You'll see this pop up. I have already used Firebase before, so I see it here. If you've never used SPM or Firebase, you won't see this here. You'll have to paste the URL that we got, and then hit enter. And then when you hit enter, you'll see it show up. And then just right here, just hit Add Package. Alright, and remember, we're trying to add in sign in with Apple. We want that feature. So there is a specific Firebase tool that comes with the Firebase package that we can use for this, and it's called Firebase Art. So these are a bunch of them. We don't need all of these really. I'll open this wider so you can see. So Firebase AI, Firebase AI Logic, Analytics. We don't really need all of these right now. What we do need is at least Firebase Auth. So I'll grab that, add it to Gleaner Redesign. I usually take Auth Combine, so I grab that too. And I'll take Firebase Core, because more than likely might have some stuff that we need. So these are all other ones that we need to. So eventually what we will need is Firebase Firestore, since you want to make it that users can add comments. And that will make it that that's where we'll add it to a database. So we'll have a database for comments for the app. So for now though, till we're ready for that, we can just stick to just Firebase Auth stuff. So authentication, hit add package. And you'll see it start doing some work up here. That was pretty fast. So it added in those packages that we needed. So you can see them over here. So package dependencies, right? And you see Firebase right here and some of the packages that it has to offer. So now what we're going to do is basically let's just minimize this. And we'll go back over to Firebase website, and we finish up all these instructions. So let's hit next. And now this other part we're saying basically initialize the code. So don't worry, there is some little coding that we have to add on, but it's not crazy. All you have to do really is just add some bit of lines to your project. So the first thing is we have to add this part here. So make sure you get from the curly brace here to the class, and you're basically adding something you're adding a class called app delegate to your project, to your code. So go back over to Xcode, right? And let's maximize this. And we're already in the right place, but let's just say we're somewhere else. What you need to do is look for the file that is pretty much like your main file, like where your app starts. And it's usually something like this. It usually has app at the end. So you can just click that. Another way how you can know if you're in the right place is if you see this at main. So that's like the main place. That's where your app starts. You can do that. So all I'm going to do is just make a new line, and above these, like the main and all of that, I'm going to add a different line and just press Command V. And I'm adding this class called app delegate to it, right? Now, I'm getting an error because it said it doesn't know what Firebase app is. And the reason for that is because we don't have we're not using the framework that is needed for using Firebase app. There's an extra requirement to use a tool from Firebase. That's all it is. Let's just type it. So above import Swift UI, we're just going to say import Firebase core. And that error will now go away. And that part, right? So let's just go over back to Firebase and let's see what else we need. So we also need to use the class that we just made, right? We need to use it in our main app. So you can just copy this line, just click the copy button here, right? And if you notice, this line is like right inside your at main now, right? You see? So let's just do the same. So go back over to Xcode, and then this is our at main, remember? So just go here, hit enter, Command V, and paste it. So now you're pretty much using this app delegate inside your SwiftUI project, inside your project. So again, boom, we bounce back over here, and then we'll just hit next. And then all you have to do is continue to console. And now that is pretty much the most of the part is already kind of set up. So the next thing now we have to do is you need to turn on where you want to use in a Firebase. Because remember, we want to turn on signing with Apple. So you go over to where it has security here, and then you go down to authentication, and then you hit get started. And then these are the different ways how you can authenticate, how you can log in or sign up for pretty much, like to join any app. I'm sure you've seen it on many apps before. So since we only want signing with Apple, you could do Facebook, you could do signing with Google, all of these. But since we only want Apple, just hit Apple here. And then go up here, make sure you do this part and click enable. There's been a couple times where I forgot to do this and I was just like, yo, why does this not work? So make sure you click enable and then make sure you click save too. All right, boom. And then what's going to happen is whenever our user signs in, we are going to be able to see that authenticated user right here. All right, cool. So now let's go back to Xcode now. So now we have Firebase set up for handle authentication using signing with Apple. We also have all the files that are needed in our Xcode project to use signing with Apple. And we also, you have to remember, we added the capability for signing with Apple here. So now what we have to do is pretty much just tell Claude like, yo, we added all those features, because the more context you give Claude, the better it writes. And basically we need to just add this in. All right, so we're going to make it that you can sign in from the settings screen. So now let's just do it. So add a sign in with Apple feature from the settings screen, right? And then I'll just tell it what we do already. I already added the sign in with Apple capability in Xcode. Already added the Google info.plist for it for Firebase, and also turned on sign in with Apple authentication. Yeah, he was said sign in with Apple setup in Firebase too. And just enter. So now it knows what we already do. And now it could have just read the code and kind of found out some of it. But now we'll give some context, and now it's just it should just focus just on building out the button, all the other logic that's needed for signing in using Apple. You see me? So now it's just reading, just getting back some idea, everything that's happening. Alright, so it looks like it's checking the documentation, how to set this up. So, yeah. Alright, so it's doing its thing, it's writing the code that we need right there. Alright, so it's made the changes. I know it's trying to build a project. If it does get some errors, it will just pause and take a look at them. So let's see if it builds successful. Alright, build succeeded. So that will work. And now it's giving us a summary. You can pause the video, you already know, read it, see if everything looked good to you. Listen to Firebase auth state changes using app state did change this now. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and run. Alright, I remember I told it to add it in settings. So this is settings here. Now I'll go here and I'll click sign in with Apple. And now you see we see that pop-up, that usual pop-up you see when you're about to sign in. And for now, I will do hide my email, and then I'll just do this, and then I'll do continue with password. I'm going to enter my password into that. And now it shows that I'm signed in, right? But if we want to really be sure that it's signed in, what you have to do is go back over to Firebase, right? And then you see this authentication. So I'll go somewhere else just so you remember it. So let me just... All right. So now you just go to security and then go to authentication. And now you see that we actually do have a user that was signed in. So now you see, same time, they have some type of ID that references them. So that's basically the main thing, right? For now, for this video at least. Because now what we have, users can actually sign in and sign out of our app. So now in the next video, what we can do is make it that users can go to different news reports, make it that them can add them comments about whatever news report, and then other users that go inside of the app can then see those comments and them can like maybe start talk together, make replies, start a thread, anything. So now instead of it being just a static, just a set news app, it's more like a community. Yes, it's like still getting news reports, but you know, people cannot talk, you know, like, yo, this is our think about that sports game now. Maybe the article about talk about something, but it gives you more reason to, you know, coming out of the app. It improves retention. Retention is when, you know, users keep coming back to the app to use it for more. So again, that's what we just did. Again, just a summary for what we did today. We added a sign in with Apple feature to the Modernize Gleaner version of the app. So if you like this, remember, like, comment, share. You're with the Nerdy Yardy, and remember the motto: anyone can learn anything with time, practice, and failures. And again, for the next one, just a reminder, we will be adding a database, right? Using Firebase to make it that users can add comments. And the database will be over here. It's going to be something called Firestore that's inside Firebase. All right. Hope you like that. Just check out. And yeah, it's a Nerdy Yardy, and I'm out.